Despite being ambi, it does a good job of trying to fill up this sort of thumb divot area. Doesn't quite get to the point of being like totally filling, but it's pretty close. It definitely encourages some finger curl here. You can put them flat on the mouse, but it pushes against the bottom of your knuckles if you're doing this. By curling your fingers, it sort of changes the angle that your palm, I don't know if you can tell, but is making contact with the mouse. So it lets my palm be a little bit flatter instead of kind of curled, and so it makes better contact with the hump shape. The buttons are not actually very high, but they feel a little bit high. It mostly rests, at least when I grip it like this, it mostly rests against these first two knuckles here. The sort of inside of my ring finger knuckle is bracing against this corner here. It's not really a corner, but where it starts to drop away pretty aggressively. It's sort of holding that, so I can actually pick the mouse up just using that third knuckle and my thumb and like the base of my palm, like this. And then you can definitely notice how the mouse gets wider towards the bottom. I like it because it actually makes it easier to sit my thumb right underneath these thumb buttons. And similarly, um, it feels like, and the mouse is light enough and easy enough to lift, so I don't need to like try and get underneath something to pull it upward with my pinky finger and ring finger. That's also compounded by the way that I can get a lot of grip on the side of the hump by kind of squeezing my hand slightly. Despite the hump being wider here than a 703, because it rounds off so aggressively on the side, um, I'm still able to kind of shift my grip and go from like a full-on ambi mouse type of flat across the top grip to a low tilt like I'd use on the Cone Pro to a more aggressive tilt like I'd use on the Outset. And all three of those work reasonably well with this hump. If I get all the way to this more aggressive tilt, I notice now that obviously I'm getting less contact with my index knuckle, but I've rotated my hand to where my ring finger knuckle is pushing kind of more normally against the mouse, and pushing the mouse into my thumb. So it starts to feel a bit like what you'd call a pincer claw grip in that sense. The coating is nice and grippy, despite not feeling aggressively rough. Um, it's like a it's not actually chalky, but I kind of want to describe it that way because it's more like that type of material where it doesn't feel rough, but it happens to be very grippy. Yeah, the good part about this hump shape is because it's just wide enough but still quite rounded and being narrower at the top than the bottom, it does a really good job of providing quite even contact across like this, oh sorry, across like this whole region of my palm, right throughout the center here. Um, it's the same sort of area that you get good contact with, sort of evenly spread out on the Outset's hump. Yeah, I mean it's just filled out nicely in a way that helps spread the pressure of the mouse from the hump into your palm across a wider area, and that makes it more comfortable to use for longer periods of time. It's one of the reasons I think people like the Microsoft mice from this uh, period in history. Width is, yeah, it's in that sort of 6 centimeter range, so it's feels closer in width when I grip it near the bottom, like I tend to to most ergo mice or the SteelSeries Sensei, which is what I wanted because most ambi mice are just thinner than I'd like. Basically, the center and kind of right side of your palm are very well supported. And there's just this little bit of a gap in your thumb support on the left side. But because the mouse is wide enough, you don't get this kind of overly bent thumb thing where you start pushing on the side of the mouse at an awkward angle. So it's totally usable. And there's enough support here on the base of your thumb in this area that it's not like a G703 where I'm sometimes feeling like I'm pinching the base of my hand together like this, trying to make contact with the mouse. So overall, it's still probably the most comfortable ambi shape that I've used. Um, is it perfect? No. I wish it had an ergo flare out here, to be honest. Um, but it's really not bad at all, and it's probably more comfortable than even some of the ergo mice that I like. So it's not going to replace the outset as my main or anything, but as kind of a second option or a mouse that I'm happy to travel around with so I don't have to worry about trying to manage cable drag and stuff. Um, Having a 60-gram wireless with no holes, with a flexible enough shape that suits a couple different grip styles like this, that's basically what I wanted and what I was looking for. So in that sense, I'm very happy with it. Yeah, hopefully that was a decent description.